And I don't want you to call them about real estate. I want you to call them and ask them a simple question. Hi, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Right? What's going on in your world? How can I help? How can I be of service to you? So that was our immediate reaction to that.
Hi, welcome to another segment of Bellingham Now. I'm your host, Kevin Coleman, and today I've got a mover and shaker around town who does a lot of things in our community. He has a podcast with Building Bellingham Podcast. He also works with Jesse from Overflow Taps with the Clean Water Happy Hour, and he has his own real estate firm with Bellingham Living Now. I want to welcome Mr. Leo Cohen. Hi, Leo. How you doing?
How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I have been keeping up with you ever since, I've been keeping up with you for the past year, but I've been watching what you've been doing since this pandemic and everything that's been happening in your Pivot series. And I would like to know a little bit more about what spurred that on, how you started that, and what that has done for our community.
Well, I like to focus on things that I can control. It's been a big mantra of mine, focus on what you can control. And one of the things that I couldn't control was the fact that all of a sudden there was this pandemic that hit, and I didn't have control over whether real estate agents were essential. That was more in the hands of our legislators and more in the hands of our lobbyists and whatnot. So for the first couple of weeks, it was just you're working from home now, and there's very limited things that you can do to move your business forward. So it was really a time to take a step back for a few days and say, okay, well, what am I going to do to move the business forward, and what am I going to do to impact our community in a positive way? And we already had the Building Bellingham podcast, which was it's a feature-length podcast, and it was kind of a moment of I've heard of Zoom. I hear you can stream it live on Facebook, so why don't we just start, interviewing more people, and doing it live on Facebook? So it's kind of the gist of it. There's no more complexity to it than that, but it just started that way. And obviously you guys have been doing some awesome stuff as well. Jake with Trailsless Travel has been doing something awesome like that as well. And so I think we all had the same idea, which was to, this is instead of turn away from and lean into fear, to lean into positivity. Like you have your Ripple of Positivity hashtag, which is all about focusing on what we can control and being positive in these times and lifting everybody up. So that's very similar message, and that's why we have a lot in common in that regard. So.
Yeah, and I appreciate the diversity of people that you have on your podcast. We're doing very similar things, and it's more of an ebb and flow, as I feel like. We're talking to a lot of the same people, but we're also getting different information out to different types of people in our community. And so I appreciate the people that you're having on, as well as the roundtable discussions that are happening, because right now people are not sure what to do, and as we're going into phase 2. We're having to figure out what that looks like. And I think having more open conversations like this does help. So tell us a little bit about who you are and your organization for those of you who don't know.
Yeah, well, it all stemmed from me in real estate. So all of these worlds, these different platforms, they all really started from me starting my own real estate business. So technically, we work for Keller Williams. We're the Cohen Group Northwest, and we Live Bellingham now is our brand around Cohen Group Northwest. But all of these different brands and platforms stemmed all from a real estate business that we run here in Bellingham. So we're here in the area, and so what happened was all of a sudden my thought was I love the show How I Built This. Mm-hmm. It's one of my favorites. I'm sure you know it, Guy Raz. And I obsessively listen to that because I learn really well from hearing about other people's mistakes. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, it's like, that's the path, right? The path is not showing the tip of the iceberg. It's showing all the ice below the surface, right? And so that really inspired me. And actually Cooper, who does all of our media, he came to me and was like, I think you should do a podcast. I'm like, well, I don't know. No one, it's like, why would I start? It's like having a Twitter. No one cares about what I say on a Twitter. I'm just a guy. I've got opinions and I'll tell you them. But so anyways, it started there, and then it really blossomed into this question of, do we produce it ourselves, or do we hire somebody to come in and do it for us that knows what they're doing, that's not us? And we went in the direction of paying a producer to do our podcast. And that's how that all started. The Clean Water Happy Hour really grew from a frustration of industry events within my world, at least. There's a lot of amazing events out there, but within the real estate lending and title world, it's all very schmoozy, and it's all like, hey, I'll buy you some chicken wings if you send me some clients. And that to me felt really, if it works for people, that's great, whatever. But for me, it felt disingenuous. And so we created an event where it's completely centric around the concept of community first giving. So inviting other people in our community to give together on a smaller scale to impact a ripple on a larger scale. And Jesse taught me all about Charity Water out of New York. And so we have, we're moving in the direction of becoming a partner with Charity Water. So every home we sell, donate $100 to clean water. And sustainable projects in other countries, or in East Africa mainly, that gives opportunity for people to have employment within their community and brings drinking water, clean water to the world, which is something that we have an abundance of here, and a lot of people around the world don't have access to that. So it started there, and then it just became it just gained momentum. I mean, it was obviously we were pushing it really hard at the start with a lot of our own momentum, and then all of a sudden it just gained a lot of steam. And it's too bad all of this hit, because we still have some amazing events planned for that. So those are really our three main worlds. We have some development stuff that we do, but those are that's the core of really who we are. And I like to think that we're bigger than real estate. It's about community. It's about the concept of home. It's about the concept of when you have a position of privilege, giving, making sure that I'm not going to lie, I'm a capitalist. I'm proud of that, but I'm a capitalist with good intentions. And so I think we need more capitalists in the world, because there's always going to be capitalists with good intentions, with the intention to give back and to lift other people up that don't have as much or don't have privilege. So that's really who we are at a core.
Yeah, and I think that's why we resonate so well with each other, because we both speak a lot of the same language. We both
Absolutely.
want what's right for the community. We want to give back. We are privileged people, but we know how to give back and how to align those people to make sure that we're really giving back the way we're supposed to, and not just haphazardly or flippantly. Just it's with meaning and purpose. So I appreciate that. So I because of the real estate world and because of COVID, tell me how your job has changed during this pandemic. I mean, because you can't go into homes like you normally could. So how has things changed?
Well, I think this is, whether it was COVID or something else, it was a long time coming for a lot of businesses, and it really tested the adaptability, the durability, the flexibility, kind of all of those abilities, right? Ability words for every business. And it's really sad to see good businesses go out of business or get whittled down to almost nothing. But when things are good, it's easy to be blind to what can happen, right? And granted, different businesses in different industries operate on different types of margins and have different structures and whatever. But really, we were floored because, we have people, it's not just about us and our money. It's about the fact that people have homes, they're transitioning from another community to this community or out of this community, and they have homes in escrow, and I can't even let an inspector in. And that's part of our timelines. And if they don't adhere to their timelines, they lose their earnest money. They lose money. And for some people, this is all the money they have. And yeah, it was, we all sat down. We all just sat down. Our director of operations, Chris Lee, our marketing team, our agents, and we just said, all right, so here's what's at hand. We don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. Here are the things we can't do legally. Here are the things that we can do. These are the things that we are going to do, because this is not a snow day. This is not, oh, hey, let's go take a vacation. This is when we double down. This is when we double down on giving back to our community. This is when we double down on reaching out to the people in our world, like our clients that are freaking out because they don't know what's going to happen. This is, and not about real estate. how are you? We don't ask that question enough. So that was our pivot in that moment, was like, all right, get on the phone with everybody that you're currently working with, get on the phone with everybody that you're talking with about working with in the future, get on the phone with your past clients. And I don't want you to call them about real estate. I want you to call them and ask them a simple question. Hi, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Right? What's going on in your world? How can I help? How can I be of service to you? So that was our immediate reaction to that. And that's all we could control. Right. So
Right.
that's what we did.
And I think that's brilliant, because I think a lot of people just needed to be checked in on.
Yeah.
To be, how are you doing? And I think that goes miles. That's something that we did here at Veritas in Bellingham now. Just like, how do we pivot so that we were helping our community? It's not about, how do we make things happen, sales and stuff like that. It's like, how do we help? And what can we do to give back right now? And so that's why I'm like so impressed by what you're doing with the Pivot series and everything else. And now it's going to be on KZAS, and you're expanding that.
Thank you for that connection.
Absolutely. But I mean, it's good stuff. And so I appreciate what you're doing. I do want to ask, what have you learned about our community and your business during this time that you didn't notice before?
I have to say, as crazy as our time is in this exact moment 2020 has been one hell of a year. It's been one hell of a year in so many different ways, right? In so many different ways. And the thing that I've had like stages of loving Bellingham and Whatcom County more and more. And gosh, I've been absolutely just blown away by how amazing. I mean, we've got community leaders. We've got people whose businesses are like spiraling down, and they're leaning into it, and they're like, you know what, we're just going to have fun with it. We're going to go for it. And if this is the end, this is the end. And I've seen so much resilience here in Bellingham, and people saying, I want to help you. How can I help you? I mean, we've eaten out like way more than we normally can afford, but we're doing it because we love these businesses. We want to just give our money back to this community. And so I've seen that, and like I'm not even like the biggest giver of everybody, but like me plus me times 1,000 or me times 10,000. I mean, I've seen so many people in Bellingham just dig in and not turn towards fear, but lean into support. And so, and I know that's kind of a general blanket statement, but I mean it to my core. Like seeing people dig in, make the best of their situations. Show love, right, and compassion, and give grace to other people, and give grace to yourselves. Be more out in nature. I mean, looking off of the top of Galbraith Mountain, because I mountain bike a lot, and being able to see downtown Vancouver, I teared up a little bit. I was like, our environment cleared up for a little bit of time. I mean, like things like that. All of those little things just remind me of why I'll be here forever. I will go on vacation because it gets really rainy here, but I will be here forever, and I'll always support this community.
Absolutely. I will agree with you. Whatcom County, for me, has been totally incredible. Watching, and you're native, you're Pacific Northwestern. So, I mean, you're native here, you know the community. And I love what the unity that Whatcom County has come together on during this time, and seeing what you're doing in your group, and just how you're just persevering, you're just moving on, and how can we help? And I think that's the bigger mission more than anything these days, is how do you help? It's not about what can you give, but really how can you help? And I love seeing that. And I love seeing what you're doing with your company. It's amazing to see all these different facets and all these different spokes under one organization that's doing really a lot of good things that I don't think a lot of people know about. So I appreciate everything you're doing. Also too, if you could leave people with one thought or one message from this interview today, what would that be?
I think the biggest thing that I would just encourage everybody to do is just continue to focus on what you can control. I mean, it's my mantra. My mentor, Ben Kinney, who owns the Keller Williams franchise and many other companies here locally, and a good friend of mine, that's his mantra, is focus on what you can control. And I think about that every day. Even if I'm like 99% out of control, and there's 1% that I can focus on, that's the only thing that I can get better at, is the 1%. So really just getting people to remember that we do have a lot more control of our lives than we think. And every day is truly a new day. I mean, really, you can still have feelings left over from a tough day the previous day, but it's all about how we treat our mind, body, and our soul every single morning. What are we doing every morning to refresh ourselves? How are we resetting? How are we treating other people? And it really all starts on what we can control and how we're treating ourselves, and if we're honest with ourselves. And that just, it explodes outwards when you're honest with yourselves and you truly treat yourself with respect. It's easy to treat other people with respect and to treat other people with love and to continue to be a ray of light. So that's my big message, is just stop complaining about things you can't control and just focus on what you do have control of every single day.
Leo, thank you for being here today. I appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing, and continue your mission. You're doing good things. I appreciate you.
Thank you. And I wanted to say really quickly that I appreciate so much what you guys have all done too, using your platform and your megaphone to do, it takes a village. So so much kudos to all you guys at Veritas and Bellingham Tonight, Bellingham Now, all the amazing brands you guys have. Building Bellingham, we're all looking forward to continuing to work with you guys to just continue to improve Bellingham in any way we can. So,
yeah, thank you. Best of luck to you, my friend.
Thank you. Likewise.
Hey, we hope you enjoyed watching this episode of Bellingham Now. To see all of our episodes, go to BellinghamTonightShow.com. New content is added daily, so make sure you subscribe for updates. Thanks for watching.